you're using Podio with a dialer and not using SmrtPhone, there's no getting around it. You are simply doing it wrong. SmrtPhone has been making a lot of updates in the past few years. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you should be setting up SmrtPhone in 2024. We're going to go over how to connect SmrtPhone to multiple apps, creating an easy to read communication history for each contact with the ability to filter by contact type. We're also going to be adding a comment to each lead every time a message is sent or received, along with many more features. By the time we are done, you're going to have the best SmrtPhone integration with Podio that is possible right now. So let's get into it. Before we get into building, let me show you what the final product's going to look like, so you're not blindlessly following along and you have a goal in mind and a vision in mind of where we're going. So what we want for each one of our contact types, so we have seller leads and cash buyers, those are the ones we're going to be working with. We can click in and we have a communication history. In the communication history, you have a really clean overview of if it was an incoming call or an outgoing call, if it was answered or busy, how long the call was, and be able to click a link and listen to the call recording. Another thing that's really nice is if you have a lot of communication history, you're able to filter it. So we could hit SMS only and it'll show us only SMSs, or we could hit incoming calls only and it'll filter just the incoming calls. So if you were searching for something. What we also have is the show count. The show count is basically, if we show everything, if it gets really long, we don't want to see hundreds in a row. Well, we could, but the show count limits it. So if we put a show count of 5, it basically just shows the 5 most recent communication. So it just stops things getting really long. Change it back to 10. And then we get everything showing again. What we can also do, when we go to the seller's contact details, we can see that there's a call and text button that we can use directly from here. When we get the SmrtPhone extension, you'll have that capability yourself. So let's go ahead and send a text. This is a test. And then hit send. So what you'll see happen is, in the comment section, we'll get confirmation that the text has been sent. And in the communication history section, the text will show. What we can also do, so let me reply to that message. So when that text is replied to, you should see the reply come here. So you can see incoming text. I just replied, cool. And then we get the comment here. But what will also happen is, if we scroll to the top, what we'll see is in our bucket, we have now one seller awaiting reply. If we go to our activity section, we'll see it here as well. So sellers awaiting response. This is really useful for not only keeping track yourself, but also the team. If you can see if the team have not replied to a missed call or not replied to a text. So just by clicking this view, it shows you the sellers that either have a missed call or an SMS reply. But to reduce the load, obviously, for the team, what we're going to do is, if we come back down to here, and then we'll just reply to this message again, we want to automatically unset this so that the team doesn't have to do it themselves. So let's give it a few seconds to show. Great, so you can see the message has been sent. And now if I refresh my screen, you'll see the communication notification has automatically disappeared. And likewise, it'll be disappeared from this view. So it's a really good way of keeping track of everyone's communication, making sure all of your contacts are being replied to, and having a really clean overview of the communication history. So let's get into building it. All right, so as I said, I'm going to be building this off the wholesaling system demo I just did. Again, link in the description. For those that have come here having already followed the demo, you can skip this bit and you can move on to connecting SmrtPhone. Check the timestamps in the description. But for those just looking to set SmrtPhone up in the best way possible, let's get into it. So first, what we need to connect both of our contact types, SmrtPhone connects to only one app. So we're going to create a contacts app. So contacts, We'll find a icon, contact book. It's one I usually go for. And I prefer to change badge to the table. And then we can create the app. So from here, we just want to rename this name. And then we just want 3 other fields. We want an phone field, a text field, and a relationship field right here. So the relationship field, we're going to add seller leads. So we're basically adding our contacts here. So I have seller leads and cash buyers. You may have more, different, whatever contact types. And then hit save. I'm going to call this main contact. I'm going to make sure this text field is a single line text field. And I'm going to call it address. And phone can stay as phone. And that's it. We can hit done. So then we just need to add some flows in the backend. So essentially what we want is anytime an item is created in seller leads, or an item is created in cash buyers, or the name or phone of either of these is updated, update it in our related contact. So we'll go to the wrench, hit workflow automation, and you will need Podio Premium for this. All of the automation is held in GlowyFlow. So if you don't have that, go ahead and set it up now. Once you have it, you can do a refresh from Podio just to make sure everything's up to date, because anytime you add a field or an app within your workspace, you have to then do a refresh from Podio for it to show. So we'll start in seller leads. You can see that I've deactivated these just because they were already done in the demo, but we'll do it from scratch. All we need is add a new. When an item is created, 1.0.0 new item created. You can call this whatever you want. And then we're just going to do, when an item is created, create item in our contacts, silent, hook event, make sure these are selected. We'll press this 4 times. And then we just want our name, phone, address, and main contact. The name is going to be the contact's name. So we're using the seller's full name. The phone is just going to be the contact's phone. So we're using seller's phone number. The address will just be, in this case, property address right here. And then the main contact is going to be the current seller leads item. And then save. Then we just want one more, new flow, item updated, 1.0.2, contact details updated, we'll call it. And then we'll do if the name has changed, or the phone number has changed, or the address has changed. So we can change these to or we can do get reference items. So we're basically collecting the contact that we've just created. So get reference items, gonna be our contacts. It's a reverse relationship because the contact references this seller lead, main contact. And then we just do update collected, contacts, name, phone, address, just the 3 fields this time. Again, silent and hook event, make sure they're selected. And then we just do the same, seller full name, phone, and property address. Those are the exact same 3 fields we used before. And save. And that's all there is to it. We'll do the exact same thing for cash buyers. So item created. So you do this with all of your contact types that you want to have a communication overview of. Just call it new buyer created. Create item contacts 1, 2, 3, 4. Name, phone, address, and main contact. So in this case, it's going to be the buyer's name. Phone will just be the cash buyer's phone. Address. Now it's up to you whether you put the address or you put the company name. Essentially, how it's going to look when they ring you is going to be buyer's name dash 123 Main Street. So for example, it could be George Clooney, 123 Main Street. Or you could link the company name. And then for the cash buyer, it would come up as George Clooney, Hollywood Ltd, or whatever. So I'm going to do company name. Why not? And then again, the main contact is going to be the current cash buyer item. And then we hit save. And then just one more. When an item is updated, 1.0.1 cash buyer details updated. We can do if buyer's name has changed, buyer's phone has changed, or buyer's. So I'm using company name, so I would select company name. If you've linked it to address, you would select address. So we're basically saying if any of the details have changed, remembering to change these to or, any of the details have changed, we're doing the exact same thing. Get reference contacts, reverse relationship, main contact, update collected, contacts, silent hook event, name, phone, and address. Buyer's name, phone, and then address. I'm using company name, whatever you want to use. So I just want to double check because it's super important that when you create, hook event is selected. Because if you don't select hook event, it won't sync in SmrtPhone. So a SmrtPhone can't collect the data, can't collect the updates unless hook event is selected. So really important you do that. All right. And that's it. That's all we need for the backend to connect SmrtPhone. Two flows for each contact type app. Okay, so now we can do a test. So we'll go to cash buyers and I will just add a new one. So we'll put Martin test and then just put any random number and then emails required. This is just how I've set Podio up. Your email's probably not required. Oh my God. Okay, let's go again. All right, so I've saved the cash buyer. So now if I do a refresh, what we should see is right at the bottom, we have a related contact. I can go into the contacts app that we just created right here and see it right here. So now if I change this to Martin testing and then change this to a completely different number, we should then be able to go right down to the bottom, or we can go to this record and see that everything's updated. Perfect. That's all we need in terms of making sure that SmrtPhone connects to any contact type we have. Now, let's go ahead and set up a SmrtPhone account. If you don't already have a SmrtPhone account, hit the link in the description. It's an affiliate link, but you get 30% off the first 3 months and your numbers if you use the promo code for $3 a month instead of $5. So it's well worth it. So when you click the link, it's going to bring you to this page right here. So we'll do it together. I'm going to go ahead and sign up. Company name. My phone number. My actual phone number, so that's why it's blurred out. Email. The email I'm going to use is wholesaling@orata.io. Select your CRM. We're using Podio. and accept the terms and conditions and continue. So your smartphone account has been created, will be redirected in a few seconds. All right, so now we'll get the validation code. So if I go to my email right here, it's asking me to confirm my email. So I can just grab this, close that out. Oh, I actually have to type it out. 303998998. Okay. All right, so then we're going to connect our CRM. So we can hit connect now. Select your organization. Then select your workspace. And then you want to select the contacts app that you just created. And then hit save. From here, we just need to map the fields. Name, we can skip surname. Phone will be our phone field. And then in title role, we're going to put address, our address field. And that's it. Then press save and continue. Sync successful, continue. Okay. All right, perfect. Now it's going to install a communications app for us. So SmrtPhone installs their own communications app into our workspace. So we can select the workspace we want to install it into. We're using the YouTube Wholesaling demo workspace, and we can hit install and continue. So then from here, you can select your plan. We're going to go for this $50 a month plan and just add in our details. So you get a free trial, so don't worry about money being taken straight away. But just make sure in your promo code, you add Orata, all in caps, Orata 30. And as I said, that'll give you 30% off the first 3 months, as long as you've clicked the link, and your numbers for $3 a month instead of $5. And then we can set up. So once you're in this page, you just want to fill out these details. So as I'm not US based and don't have a US company, I'm going to skip this bit, but go ahead and just fill it out. Okay, so once you've filled out that information, you'll be brought to this screen. In a future video, I'll go more in depth of the settings that you can set up in SmrtPhone, but in this one, we're going to do the minimum required to connect to Podio. It's still going to work exactly as we need it to, so there's still a little bit involved, but it's just a quick setup. From here, we can buy a number. You can either come here and hit get your number, or if for some reason you don't see that, we can go here, click phone numbers, and then get a number. I'm just going to purchase any number for this demo. Here, if you've used the link and the promo code, you should see $3 instead of $5. I'm just going to grab any phone number. I'll take this one will do. By number. When you first create a SmrtPhone account, you get $7 free. So we're able to purchase a number. Now it's asking you to assign a flow. Because you've just created the account, you won't have a call flow. But a call flow is basically just says who it should call when an incoming call comes in and what inbox it should save SMS, text messages to. So I'm going to hit create a new call flow. I'm going to call this Podio demo flow and hit yes. So as you can see, it brings you to a page where it asks when a call begins, what should we do? You can see we have a multiple different options here. You can do an IVR menu, so press yes if you want to be directed to sales, etc. But we're doing the basics, so we're simply going to dial. I'm going to replace this. We're going to dial a user. I'm going to dial myself. So basically, this is my number. When someone calls, it calls me. I like to change the ring time to 10 seconds. No one's really calling for 30 seconds, so I think 10 seconds is enough. And then that's it. From here, all we need to do then, if nobody answers, we're going to send it to voicemail. And we're going to use my voicemail. I'll show you where you can set voicemails up. And then hit save flow. I'm going to then exit out of here. And then really important, we need to create an SMS flow. If we don't do this, the messages won't go into Podio. And the most simple one is saving an inbox, my inbox, and then save. And that's it. So now when I go back to phone numbers, you can see the flow has been assigned. If you did want to customize your voicemail, you can go here, My Account, and then set up your voicemail greeting here. If you hit edit, you'll see that you can, so the default one is read text like a robot. You can record an audio file, choose one from your library, or upload an MP3. I'm just going to leave it for now, but obviously you can do as you please. So then that's the basics of smartphone setup. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Chrome Store. I'm going to go to the Chrome Store and we're going to download the smartphone extension. So just type in smartphone and grab this top one right here. Add to Chrome, add extension. And then you can see it's been added. What we want to do, click the jigsaw and pin it, and then sign in. Now from here, there's two ways to log in. You can either hit login with Podio, or you can log in with your email and password. For this demonstration, I'm going to use email and password. So if I go to my account right here, I have an email from SmrtPhone and it gives you a password. So I'm going to copy the password, go back to the Chrome extension, and then copy in the password. Make sure you then select your account. And there we go. So now when we go back to Podio, if you didn't already see it before, if you now refresh your page, you'll see that that call turns to call and text. Great. So we've got the extension. We've set up our flows in SmrtPhone. The next thing to do is edit the communications app a little bit. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it. I'll put it next to appointments. You don't have to, just my preference. Then we're going to go to the wrench, modify template. And then there's a few things we have to do. First things first, where it says contact, we're going to choose the drop down, choose an app, and then we're going to add in all of our contact apps. So we got Seller Leads is one of them for us, and then Cash Buyer is one of them for us. Again, you might have different ones. And then hit save. One more thing, hit the drop down again and make sure multiple references is selected. Then, where it says smartphone number, we're going to hit the drop down here and change it to single line. And then when we go right to the bottom, there's 4 fields we want to add in. So I'm going to do a text field, another text field, another text field, and another text field. So 4 text fields. The first one is going to be name. And I'm going to hit the drop down, change to single line. The next one is going to be show. We're going to leave that as multi-line, so don't change that. The next one is going to be, we'll call it communications URL. I'm going to drag that to the bottom and again, change it to single line. And then I actually made a mistake. This is not going to be a text. It's going to be a date one. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to put created on. Hit the drop down, hide end date, and then leave everything else the same. We want the time entry. And then hit done. Perfect. So we've modified the communications app. The next thing is to add some flows and some calculation fields so that we can get the communication history displayed how I showed you before. Now, I'm going to be using this cheat sheet code. This is one you can purchase in the link below. You don't need it. You can copy the code off the screen, but it is a little bit of code that we need to do. So it helps a lot. And if you do purchase it, it helps me be able to do more of these videos for you. So we're going to go to Seller Leads, go here. So we're going to do this for each of our contacts. Again, if you have different contacts, then you can do it for different contacts. But Once you've done it once, it's really just copy and paste in. Okay, so right at the bottom of seller leads, because this is from the demo we just done, we have these fields already. If you don't have the fields already, you're going to want to add a category field and call it communication filter, and then add these communication filters exactly as they are shown here. And then you're going to want to add a show count right here, which is a number field. So number, and then just call it show count. And then the next one, you're going to want to add communication history and add it's as a calculation field. So calculation field, call it communication history. I can actually do that. And then we're going to do outgoing call count, incoming call count, incoming text count, and outgoing text count. Again, these are all going to be calculation fields. So in total, you should be adding 5 calculation fields. Once you've added them, don't put any code in there right now. Just hit done. Perfect. Then we can go back in. So modify template. The reason we first save it is because if you freshly just added the communication filter and show count, if you don't save it first, they won't show up as fields. Okay, so go right down to the bottom and find the communication history. This is the one we're going to work on first. So for this one, we're going to use our code template and grab this top calculation right here, all the way down to result. Okay, so basically this full page right here. And then we're going to come here and paste it in. Again, if you don't want to get the cheat sheet code, you can do it without it. Here's all the code. You just need to copy it in. All right. So then you can see in the cheat sheet code, I'm going to drag it here. We have these blue tags. These are what we need to replace here. So if I come here, all of item URL, follow along with this really carefully. It's easy to make mistakes, but if you just do it slowly, then you should be all good. So we're going to type in all of com, and then it should already show up, all of communications URL. We're going to select that one. Then we'll do type. So again, we can do all of, and then if we scroll down, all of type. Just in case you have a different system to this one, make sure that it says communications via contact. So maybe you have a type somewhere else in a related field and it shows up, but you want the one that shows under communications via contact for all of these fields. And then hit OK. So then we want all of name, all of name. Then we can scroll down. So you can see I have a few other names, but we want the one that's under communications via contact. Name, then all of created on communications via contact, all of show right here, communication filter. So if we just put in com, it'll come up communication filter. So this is actually just this field we're using right here. All of call recording with null. So all of call recording, does it show? Yep. All of call recording with nulls, this one. Same for the voicemail one. So you can probably just type in voicemail and it should show up. Voicemail with nulls again. All of call notes with nulls. So all of call notes with nulls. And then for show count, what we're going to do is replace these two. So if show count, we're going to use the bottom one. If you're following along from the wholesale demo, we use the bottom one. If you are just setting this up in your own system, you'll probably only have one. And then we put the same one, the bottom one here. We're now going to do outgoing call count, incoming, incoming, outgoing. Now, if you haven't purchased the cheat sheet, this is really easy. Once you've done one, it's just a matter of switching out a word, basically. Outgoing call, incoming text, outgoing text. Let's do this one. We just want to replace all of type. All of type. Same again. We'll come here. Incoming call. Grab this one. Again, if you don't have the code cheat sheet, just replace outgoing call right here with incoming call. And then replace all of type. Incoming text. Incoming text. Oh. All of type. And then last one. So what this is doing is basically giving you a count of all the different communication types. All of type. So it's going to tell you how many outgoing texts for this lead, how many incoming texts, how many incoming calls, how many outgoing calls. And then save it. Perfect. All right, cool. We have a lot of Will Smiths here. I'm going to, just for this demo, delete them all except one. All right. So then we want to do the same thing for cash buyers. Cash buyers doesn't have the call counts. You can add it if you want. Now you know how to do it yourself, but I'm not going to. All right. So we're just going to do communication history. Wrong one. We can take this one. And copy it in here. And then just do the same again, replacing all of these. They're all exactly the same as we just done in seller leads. So I'll just go through this a little bit quicker. But obviously you take this at your own pace and just be careful of making mistakes. Communication filter. Obviously, if you're just following this without doing the demo, you need to add the communication filter, add the show count, save it, and then add this code in, just like we did before. Nearly done. Perfect. And then we can hit done. Another thing you'll notice if you're just connecting SmrtPhone and haven't been following along with the wholesale demo is if we go into modify template, we have this communication notification field. We have missed call, SMS reply. I suggest putting this in for yourself as well. So it's just a category field, call it communication notification, and then add the two options, missed call, SMS reply. For ease of following along with this, add them exactly as you see them here. And then in the drop down, you can select hidden if empty, is how I do it. So seller leads has this, and so does cash buyers. Okay, so we've added in our calculation fields. We now have the flows to do. We have 7 flows to add into GlobyFlow. But once they're done, we are done with this setup and it'll be worth it. So let's go into GlobyFlow. I'm going to do a refresh from Podio to make sure everything's up to date from all the fields we've added in and all the adjustments we've made, basically. So now I know everything's up to date. I can go into communications, add a new flow, item created. So our very first flow is going to be, I like to number them like this, new, I'll call it communication created. So first things first, what we want to do is get reference contacts. So whenever SmrtPhone creates a record, it's going to add the contact because that's the app that it's connected to. So we want to get that contact, and then we want to check that a contact exists. You know, sometimes you'll make calls to contacts that aren't in your system already. So we're just going to use ref contact Podio item ID is not equal. So not equal to blank. So we're basically saying, does it exist? If it does, we're going to update item, update the contact field. I'll mark this as silent and hook event. I'm going to change value to calc, and then I'm going to get our tokens. If you are new to building in Podio, I always use Alt-T to get the token box up. I'm going to put in the contact field, communications contact field, dot, quotation, comma, quotation, dot, and then take our main contact field. So basically what I'm doing is, if a contact exists, I'm adding the main contact. So if a contact is related to a seller lead, I'm adding the seller lead as well. So we have that communication history. And then I'm going to end if. So because this is a sanity check, when we're done with our sanity check, we always end if it. Next, what we need is a variable, and I'm going to call this show default. From there, we're going to get this code from our communication app flows, and we're going to get the top one. So make sure you're not copying this title here. We just want this one. Again, if you're not using the cheat sheet, it's possible to just copy it. It's just a little bit of work. Okay, so then we need to replace, again, these blue tokens. But the good thing is, when you replace one, it replaces multiple. So if I select all this, make sure you're selecting exactly what I'm selecting, remove it, press Alt-T or bring up your token box, however you want to do it, and type in type. And there we go. So you can see that multiple were replaced at the same time. Then we can grab this one right here. So take your time to find it and make sure you go from square bracket to square bracket, remove it, and then type in here text message. And again, it replaces multiple. The next one we've got is this smartphone number right here. Again, smartphone number, type it in here. Then we have our call ID field right here. Call ID. Then we have our communication URL. So type it in here. Communication URL. And then here we have duration, square bracket to square bracket, remove it, duration. Take this inbound one, inbound status, inbound status. And then I think this is the last one right here, outbound status. And that should be it. Okay. Then we need one more variable. I'm going to call this one name. Again, go to my cheat sheet code and get my name code right here. Copy it into here. So you can see type is automatically filled out because we've used it here, which is nice. So here we're going to replace ref contact name with, so if I type in name, we want this ref contact's name right here. Then we want the call owner name. So again, I don't need to type name again. It shows right here, call owner name. And that's it. Then the last few steps is to update this item. We're going to update 4 fields. So we're going to update bottom one, communications URL. We're going to update created on. We're going to update show. And we're going to update name. So all 4 of the fields we added previously. So the communications URL, I'm going to type in URL. And be careful which one you choose now. We don't want to choose communications URL. We want to choose communication URL link to item. Select that. We can go ahead and select silent and hook event while we're here. Created on is going to be current date and time. Show. If you type in VAR, you'll see that your variables that you've just created show up. So we want show default here, and then we want name here. Now we can leave this for now. There is a little thing we need to add on, but we'll add it on after we've done this next flow. Okay, so the next flow we're going to do is new item, new flow, and it's going to be a manual flow. So I'm going to call this 1.0.2 seller leads actions, we can call it. So here we're going to use get reference seller leads forward reference contact, and then we're going to do update collected. So we're going to update the related record now. So if you have a different contact record, you can add whatever you want here, but we're going to do this for the seller lead record. So I'm going to update the seller lead record. This is where the communication notification comes in. And I'm going to update the lead stage. Now, if you're just following along just to connect SmrtPhone, you can ignore the lead stage update. But if you're following along from the wholesale demo, then go ahead and do this bit. So the communication notification, if I scroll down, we'll see seller lead. This is the flow that we're currently creating. And we want to get this code right here. Again, you can copy it off the screen, but we're going to put it here. And this is why I said it's important that when you create that communication notification field, that your options are the same, because we've got them here. Now, if you did put a different option, you need to make sure that whatever you put for missed call, you replace it here, and SMS reply, you replace that here. So we're going to grab this communication notification and replace it with the actual token. So if I scroll down, we'll see ref seller leads communication notification. Perfect. And then for lead stage, we'll change this to calc as well. And then if we go to our cheat sheet code, you can see lead stage right here. Copy and paste. And then we're going to grab this lead stage. And there we go. So that's both of our fields filled out. We're going to silent and hook event it. Now, just above this, so if I add another brick, I'm going to drag this in between. Forgot to add it in before. We're going to do a sanity check. And basically here, we're going to type in STR, ISTR, open parentheses, type, and then type in outgoing. Make sure you don't make any mistakes here. Make sure outgoing starts with a capital O and the rest is lowercase. So it is case sensitive. So here we're basically just checking if the communication type is outgoing communication. And then we're going to put in another sanity here. And we're going to put if type is equal to outgoing text. Again, making sure O with a capital, T with a capital. Then we're going to create a variable. If we go to our code, we can see date sent. We'll grab this code right here, paste it in, change the variable name to date sent, and then change this token right here to the actual token. So we want current. We're looking for current date and time. Then we want to comment on collected. So we're putting a comment on the seller lead now. This is where when you see that it says text message sent, this is the comment that we're creating. So I'm going to put text message sent space, dash, space, type in VAR, put in our sent field, and then double asterisk. This just makes text bold when you put double asterisks each side. New line, and then put in the text message field. So communications text message. You can make this silent if you want. I will make it silent just to lower some notification noise. And then end if, and end if again. So here we're basically saying if the communication type is outgoing, so we're sending something, we're either outgoing call or outgoing text, it's going to update the fields and it's going to add a comment if it's an outgoing text. But if it's incoming, so we can copy this and just replace outgoing with incoming. Then what we want is a variable. And then if we go to our cheat sheet, you can see incoming number. Go ahead and grab that one. Make sure to grab it all. And then paste it in here. And then we're just going to replace this with contact number. So communications contact number. Call it incoming number. And then again, we're going to comment on collected seller leads. You can make this silent or not. I'm actually not going to make this one silent. And then I'm going to do incoming text message from add in our VAR variable, incoming number variable, double asterisk, finish the bold off, and then again, the text message. So it's basically saying you've got an incoming message from the number that messaged you and telling you what the text message was. And then from here, update collected, seller leads, and then select communication notification, change it to calc, and then grab our SMS reply, this one right here. So you can see it says second communication notification. Don't use this one. These are different. Use this one. So grab all of that and put it in here. And there we go. It even replaces the token. And then we just finish our end if. And that's it. Press save. Great. So we want to do the same for cash buyers, but we can do it much quicker. We're just going to come here, drop down, copy it here. And then we're going to remove copy of, mark this as number 3, remove seller lead, put cash buyer. And then here where it says seller lead, we'll change it to cash buyer, leave it as forward. Then if you hold down control and click here, it'll add a brick under here for you. If you don't manage to do that, then just press the plus and drag this brick to here. So we're going to put update collected cash buyers this time. Get the communication notification field and copy exactly what's here, and then remove this, and instead, by typing cash buyer, use the ref cash buyer communication notification, and then delete this. We're not even going to update any other fields with cash buyers. And then here, where it says add comment to collected items, you want to just copy all of this, and then again, put a brick under it, adding comment on collected, and we're just going to basically select the cash buyer. I'll put this as silent. Again, copying this, pasting it in here, removing this one. And then finally, again, comment on collected, add the cash buyer, copy this, paste it in here, remove this one, update collected, cash buyer, copy this, communication notification, calc, remove the seller lead one, and grab the cash buyer communication notification. And then remove this one. And that's it. So much quicker this time. And again, if you have more contact apps that you connect into, just do this. Again, change the relationship and change the fields. We're making good progress. There's 4 more flows to go, but they're pretty quick, I promise. So add new. Select manual flow again. I'm going to call this 1.0.1. And I'm going to call it item created part 2. So I like to do this in 2 stages. So we're going to get reference, seller leads, forward relationship, and then contact, and get reference, cash buyers, forward relationship, select the contact field. We want a sanity. So we're going to do if Podio item, so if ref seller lead Podio item ID is not equal to blank, so we're asking, does the reference seller lead exist? If it does, we're going to trigger the seller lead actions flow that we just created, and if. Then we're going to do another sanity, but this time we're going to do if cash buyers Podio item ID is not equal to blank, trigger flow, cash buyer actions, and if. And that's it. Save. Another quick one we can tick off. We have one slightly longer one to do, but I'll leave that till last. It's not too bad, don't worry. So 1.0.5, call owner updated. So sometimes SmrtPhone will update the call owner after the call's ended or something like that. So we want to then update the name field. So if call owner has just changed, and we'll use the calc, call owner is not equal to blank, and then we'll do and string is true, stristr, string is true, open parentheses, type, comma, outgoing. So we're only going to update the name if it's an outgoing call. If it's not outgoing, we want it to be the seller's name or the contact's name. But if it's outgoing, we want the person who made the call to be responsible, to be the name. So we're going to then update item, find our name field, and then type in name and use call owner name right here. We can mark it as silent and mark it as hook event, and then save. The next one I'm going to do is one that's mainly going to be for those following along from the wholesale demo. We have the note log app. So when a note is logged via the dialer, we also want it to show in our seller leads note log. So in our notes log right here. If you're not using this wholesale system, then I'll put a timestamp skip to last flow. It'll be right down towards the bottom. So we'll do new flow. Actually, before I do this, what I need to do is go to communications. There's a field that I forgot to add. Scroll to the bottom, add a relationship field, and then add in our notes log. Save. I'll call it created notes, and then hit done. Then, because we've updated something in Podio, we need to do the refresh from Podio. Let it do its thing. I'll close some tabs while we're here. All right. So go back to communications, new flow. When an item is updated, I'm going to call it 1.0.6, create/edit note. If call notes, so we're not using the field we just created, we're using call notes. So if someone via the dialer adds a note, or the call owner has changed, because we need to update the no owner then, and call note is not equal to blank. Now we're going to either create or update the note. So first we're going to do a sanity. If created note, so the field that we just added, if created note is equal to blank, create item notes log. The record is going to be our contact field. The note is going to be our call notes. Make sure we select silent and hook for this. Make sure to select them this time. Date logged will be current date and time. Logged by is going to be a calc field. If call owner name is equal to blank, so if it's empty, then I'm going to call it a smartphone note. Otherwise, so colon, call owner name. So if call owner name is equal to blank, then the owner is smartphone note. Otherwise, colon, communication call owner name. And then we're going to update item, update this communication record. Created note is going to be created notes log. So we're basically updating the communication item with the note that we just created. And then end if. We're going to add one more sanity. If, grab this at the top, notes log is not equal to blank. We're going to get reference items, notes log, forward, created note, update, collected, notes log, and then we're just going to update the note and update the logged by. And again, the logged by is going to be exactly what you put in here. So you can copy and paste. And then the note is going to be the call notes field. Or you could just copy and paste it in here. Silent, hook event, end if, and save. Okay, breathe. One more flow to do. Have a sip of coffee and do it. So, new flow. Item updated. 1.0.4. Update show field. So basically, if any details change in this record, if the outbound status is updated or anything like that, we want the show field to update so our communication history always looks, well, is always up to date. We're going to check 4 fields. So if contact has changed, I'm going to press this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So, or duration has changed. Oh, didn't mean to press it then. Or inbound status has changed. Or outbound status has changed. So we can change these ands to or. Now we take some actions. I'm going to press this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Because now we're getting 3 get referenced. Get referenced items. Get referenced seller leads. Forward. Contact. Get reference. Oh, press the wrong one. Get reference items. Cash buyers. Forward. Contact. Get reference items. Contacts. Forward. Contact. Okay, so now we're going to check what the status for the call is. So if inbound, so we want to type inbound status is equal to missed, or, so that's the double pipe, or inbound status is equal to voicemail. Again, being careful to make sure you type it exactly how I type it. So we're basically checking, did we have a missed call? If we do, we're going to add a comment to the related cash buyer or the related seller lead. So then what we want is a variable. And if we go to our cheat sheet code, we can see 1.0.4 update show field. So this is the flow that we're working on right now. So we can see the contact number variable. So I'm going to copy the name, and then copy the code. So we want all of this right here. Add it in here, and then replace the contact number token. Contact number. Perfect. Next one more. We're using this one right here. So we can grab this date code, paste it in here, call it date, and then item created date and time. Item created date and time. There we go. So now we want to check, is there sanity? Is there a seller lead record? So Podio item ID, seller lead record, not equal to blank. If it is available, so if we have a seller lead there, we're going to update the collected seller lead. Update the communication notification field. And then copy, so communication notification seller leads, missed call. There we go. Then we want to just replace communication notification, because essentially what we don't want to do is, let's find the field, seller lead communication notification field. What we don't want to do is that seller lead communication notification field could already say SMS reply. So it could be that the seller has already replied to us, so it says SMS reply. What we don't want to do is overwrite that and just have missed call. We want them both to show, so they both show as a notification. So we're basically updating this field with this value right here. We can silent that. Then we're going to add our comment. So comment on collected, comment on seller lead, and then we'll do our double asterisk, missed call, put the date the call was missed, close our asterisks, and then we'll put from, and then our contact number field. So it's going to say missed call, 21st of January 2024, from, and the contact number that tried to call us. And then we can end if. Now we essentially want to do the exact same for the cash buyer. So sanity, if Podio item ID cash buyer is not equal to blank, update collected. So it's always either going to be a seller lead record or a cash buyer record in this scenario. Obviously, if you have different contact types and you're adding them in, then you'd have multiple options. Okay, so I'm going to silent that. Communication notification, calc, and then I'm going to add in communication notification. Make sure I select the cash buyer one. I mean, you could just copy this, but you still have to replace the token. But if I copy it now, the token will still be there. Perfect. And then we want to add our comment. Comment on collected. And I'll just copy that whole comment and select cash buyer. And then we can end if and end if again. So we're closing both of these sanity checks. All right. And then we just want two more variables. Fun story, I have already finished this flow, but my camera died, so we're going again. All right, so the first one's going to be name. Second one's going to be show. So in the name one, we're just going to grab this code here in our name variable. We're going to replace type with type, communication type, ref contact's name. So if we search name, grab ref contact's name, call owner name. So we should see that here, right at the top, when we type in name, call owner name, and that's it. Then we want show. So this show field is the same one as we did earlier on. So this big long bit of code. So if you haven't got the code template and you wrote all this manually, firstly, well done. Secondly, just go ahead and copy the same code from the flow you've already done. No need to write it out again. Okay, and then we just need to replace the fields that haven't been replaced already. So text message, all right there. Then here we have smartphone number. Perfect. Call ID. Call ID. And then we have communications URL. So if I type in URL, communications URL, and then duration, gonna be our duration field. And then lastly, we have our outbound status. Perfect. All right. And that's it. Oh, wait. We do have to update item with our two variables that we just created. So we're going to update the name field, and we're going to update the show field. Type in var, show, and name. Silent, hook event, and there we go. Save. Great. So that is all of our flows done. Great. So we just have to go back from earlier into our new communication record created flow and do a bit of homework from earlier on. So if we do sanity, then we're just going to trigger our part 2 flow. If contact is not equal to blank, blank, trigger flow, part 2, end if. And we're done. So let's go ahead and test it first. There is 2 kind of bonus things we can do, which we'll go over afterwards, but let's quickly test this. So if I go to this record here, this is one of my smartphone numbers in my other accounts. So you can see there's currently no communication history. So let's go ahead and send a text. Hey, this is a test. And send. Message has been sent. It's a good start. Perfect. And we get our communication history here. And the comment shows here. Again, if this doesn't work for you or something's gone wrong and you can't figure it out, then join our forum. You can post all the questions that you have and everything like that in our forum. But yeah, so looks like it's all working. Let's try and do a quick call, shall we? Cool. See, it's calling. And this is where we can test our call notes as well. Didn't answer. Will call back tomorrow, for example. There we go. So we can see the call notes show here. And then when we go to our notes log as well, for those doing the wholesale demo, it shows here as well. Perfect. All right, so as I mentioned, there's 2 kind of bonus things that we can also do. The first one is if we go to our contacts app, sometimes you'll delete records from seller leads or cash buyers or some of your contacts app. So essentially, when you delete them from here, we also want them to be deleted from smartphone. So what we can do is press add, and we're going to create a new flow. no main contact. And what I'm going to do in the filter right here is I'm going to go to main contact and press not set. And then press save. Then I'm going to go back to PWA, hit refresh from Podio because we've created a view. So we just got to refresh it now. So you can see the no main contact is in our private folder, basically hidden from team members. It's up to you if you do that or not. Then we go by day or date, add new. We'll call it check for contacts to be deleted. And then I'll just do every day, every hour, remove this. Get Podio view. Find our contacts app. And then because it's a private view, we need to change this to your name as authentication, so your email address. Get our no main contact view. Put the limit as 999. So the max is 1,000, so I always put it as 999. And then just do trigger flow on collected. Trigger flow ref contacts. We actually need to create the flow first. So we can leave this, press save out of this, go to our contacts app right here, add new flow, manual flow, 1.0.1, delete contact. Press delete item. And then in opt, mark it silent, hook event. In opt, make sure you change the authentication to your email. Anytime you delete a record via automation, you need the authentication needs to be your email address. So the admin email, basically. Okay, then we can go back to our by day or date, edit this, and then again, trigger flow on collected, ref contacts, delete contact. Perfect. And then the final thing that we can do is create reports. So as you can see here, we have seller, we have daily, weekly, monthly. So in these gaps here, we can add our communication KPIs. So what I like to add here is calls made today, calls made this week, calls made this month, and split it by who made the call. So to do this, and I'm going to be doing an in-depth video on filters and reports in the future, and they're really useful in Podio. So I really recommend subscribing so you get that video. But as a brief one, let's do this one. So first I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to created on, and I'm going to press present today. And then another filter is I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to press outgoing call. Okay. Then I'm going to go to create report, count per, and I'm going to split it by call owner. So I'm basically saying how many calls have been made in total, and then split it by who made the call. So if we have 5 team members, we'll be able to see how many calls they've made each day. Next, and I'll just call it calls made today. And then I'll save it to Workspace homepage. Press save. And we can see it here. I'm going to go back, and you'll see the filters are still active there. So all I'm going to do is remove this today. I'm going to go back to created on and press current week and do the same again. Count per call owner and call it calls made this week. Workspace homepage. Now, obviously, all of our reports are going to be exactly the same, but as you have more and more activity going on in your system, then it's going to be filled out much more. So last one, we'll go back here, remove current week, created on, current month, create report, count per call owner, calls made this month, and then save report. Okay, so we have today, this week, this month. Now, these cards like to be a bit awkward, so you have to fight a little bit to get them where you want to get them. But yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So we'll start with this month, actually, is probably a better bet. And drag that all the way to the bottom. There we go. And then I'll put calls made and then appointments like that. So let's go and get the weekly one. Calls made this week. Drag it down. Here we go. Perfect. And then calls made today is already there. All right. And there we go. So calls made this month, appointments set this month, week, today. And then we can put these back in order. Oh. There we go. Good old fun. Every time anything moves, everything else moves. But I think you get the picture. There we go. We're done. And that's it. That is the best way to set up SmrtPhone. Is it a lot of work? Yes, it is. We've been going for probably about an hour and a half or something. But is it worth it? I think so. So once you have set everything up, the overview, the communication overview is second to none, in my opinion. You've got your call recording link, voicemail link will show there, the notes show there, number, everything. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be lots more amazing Podio videos coming. And thanks for watching.